Why deep awakening phases can really shaken you. So, I had my spiritual awakening last year, 2023, and I have almost said that in every video, kindish. But if you really ask me how to define it, I can't really define like what's a spiritual awakening. It's definitely a it's definitely a it's definitely a shock, kind of something that you really never expected. And like, yeah, it's it just feels like that. But of course, that's not an enough definition to give for a spiritual awakening. I think I have to give myself some years, so that I can really, it would be, you know, s- it would have been some time, so that I can look back and, really give you a definition for what a spiritual awakening is, right? But I I kind of yeah, but I kind of, um, kind of try to match it with, how other people, are feeling on the planet right now. Many of people are, going through spiritual awakening and everything. And I could kind of, relate to what they said. So, yeah, but still, I'm just not. I don't think so I'm such in a state to give you a clear definition or to give you a definition of some sort for spiritual awakening. Okay, so I had my spiritual awakening last year, and it just never stops. It just never began at that point of time. Spiritual awakening is not an overnight thing, it doesn't happen in a day or something like that. Not even, it took me years. Okay, so I started to consciously tread my path like 7 8 years ago. And in 2023 I saw results. Or I saw the confirmation in the external world, you can say what I was experiencing internally. Okay, now I got the confirmation. That means, yes, yeah. It's more of like, I took one more step closer to me. Like, what I was thinking, what I was doing was completely okay. It's just like I climbed a stair that way. You know. So yeah, I moved one more step closer to myself. You know. So I've always given example of, like how a water keeps boiling, 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 and only at certain point, it reaches a point where you finally, turn off the stove because now it has reached the boiling point, right? That's how spiritual awakening is. But unlike the water boiling, it still keeps on going. Water, you really turn off the stove at some point of time, right? But after an awakening, you keep having deeper and deeper awakenings. It keeps on going. And sometimes it's a spiral. Like sometimes you just go back to the old as well. Not that much old, but yeah, sometimes you just go back to the old, learn the lesson once again, and then you completely understand it, really assimilate it, inside your heart, inside your bones, until you really assimilate that teaching, that experience inside you, you know, and until you do that, you know, the awakenings don't happen, right? So sometimes it's a spiral, sometimes it's clear ascending, sometimes a jump too. Okay, sometimes a jump too, but it requires a high level protection as well. Okay, like, hope you're around really, good guides or good gurus, who can really guide you. But at the end of the day, your guru is your own self. So yeah, so let me just come back to the topic. So yeah, I had my awakening last year, but I had some deeper and deeper awakenings, that really shook me, really shaken me from inside. And an awakening period will make you go into a cave, will literally make you want to go into a cave, because some truths are so shocking, that it's like it's like, oh, that voice in my heart that always told me what it told me, and I refused to look at it, you know, and went by what externally I was told by society, by people around me, or my close ones, or whatever, and I chose to believe somebody outside me, and I was the right one all along. So some truths, they really shake you up because you have been avoiding that truth for so long. It feels such a pain, such a hurt, to watch that truth once. Okay, that in itself is hurtful, and then to know that you've been avoiding it because of your own dumbness, because you never trusted yourself. That's another, again, regret. Trust me, the biggest regret you can ever going to have is that you never trusted yourself. You trusted others more, you know. So that is the biggest regret you can really feel ever. So some truths that really shake you. So I'm going to talk about one of the truth that really shook me. So I have a habit of, looking best in people, which is good, it's usually people are very judgmental around people, they give quick opinions, judgments, they are like, usually people are very, scanner kinds, I know how people operate. Okay, I know how people operate. I know people are very scanner kinds. They would like to form opinion of you very well in the very first, meeting, because that's how they decide if they have to put a wall with you or not, you know so they want to get hurt with you or not. Okay, so it's their ego at play, it's their fear at play. Ego is full of fear, insecurities, wounds. ये सब ego होता है, और होता क्या है, once you heal all of this, you move back to your soul, you move back to love. Okay, why wouldn't you want to come out of your ego, right? So usually people are very judgmental, opinionated, and I was never, always, it had been my spiritual path. Okay, I always tried not to form opinions that too soon, and or to form biases that soon, for people usually form opinions of, somebody's character based on their appearance. Just so superficial, I feel. But I know, I am a deep thinker, and I know that how things are look outside, they're very different from the inside. I I know life at a very deep level. So I've always been that kind of a person, and never judged, and never formed opinions way too soon. And for sometimes I've been judged foolish also for that, for not forming opinions too soon. Okay, I have been judged for that. I have been looked at as stupid or foolish, and or yeah, and because I think, people have actually become, you know people actually have become very predictable. Okay, it's easy to predict people nowadays. You know what they will do. Okay, but my spiritual path is that no, I always have to give, I cannot, even if it's predictable, I should not, or I cannot, because I know it's it requires a lot of energy sometimes, to do that, to not play defensive, but it's my spiritual path, that I just won't, predict people, because it's yes, at some point it's required. You cannot completely, you know not do that, but yet I feel that, it's my spiritual part not to predict. you know okay, I'll tell you a very beautiful story. So this I've been watching Shiv Shakti, that comes on Colors TV, and it's a beautiful show, and I usually watch that. Usually I almost watch it daily. I try to keep up. It's a really beautiful show, and I'm just so in awe of Hindu myths. I mean, I never knew there were so intelligent stories, and I don't know why they were not in our curriculum back in the school days. I don't know. So I'll give you a short story. So what happens is that Mahishasur is a demon. Okay, so there are like now three parties. In Hindu myths you will find that there are these three parties, and I think these stories are taken from Shiv Puran. Okay, what I'm really watching right now on Colors, I don't know, I'm very weak with the facts. I'm strong with concepts but very weak with facts, just very weak with memory. And that's also a kind of a, you can call a spiritual, um I mean, it's good spiritually, to not remain much in your memory, but to remain much in your understanding part. Okay, so let's just come back to the story. So yeah, so there are three parties, you'll find in all these stories. There is Mahishasur, the demons. There are demons, okay, Rakshas jo hote hain. Then there are Devas. Indra is the, sorry. So Indra is the king of Devas. Then Mahishasur is the king of Rakshasas, or demons, you can say. So Devas are also known as gods, lesser gods, you can say. Okay. And then we have gods of gods, Shiva. Shiva and his family. Okay, he has a family. He has his wife Shakti, or Prakriti. She's called, and then he has three kids. I mean, they have three kids. Okay, so there is this Shiv family out there. Okay, and Shiv is called the gods of gods. So he is the god of demons, Rakshasas, and he's the god of Devas, right? Rakshasas, Devas, Shiv family. So these three parties are there. So Devas and Rakshasas basically, represent a level of consciousness. So definitely Devas are at a greater level of consciousness, or the gods are really at the smaller gods, you can say, at the greater level of consciousness in comparison to the Rakshasas. But nobody could be really, compared to the level of consciousness that Shiva is at. Okay, he is completely at a very beautiful stage. Okay, I think he has attained it. Of course he has attained it. That's why he's Shiva. What I'm what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what's beyond Shiva. I don't know. So of course he has attained it, and Shiva represents the third level, or the highest level of consciousness. And these Rakshasa and Devas represent a certain level of consciousness, or किसे हम कहते हैं चेतना का स्तर. So what happens is that Mahishasur, is killed by the Devi, by Parvati, the wife of Shiva. And so now, so what happens is the guru of Rakshasas, the demons, he calls on to the wife of Mahishasura. She was still carrying the baby of Mahishasur in her womb. Okay, she was pregnant, so she was expecting a child, and the uh, she had the child of Mahishasur in her womb. Okay, and she was expecting it. And so the guru of Rakshasas, the guru of demons, what is his name? Forgetting his name. I'm forgetting the name of the guru of Rakshasas. I'm forgetting his name. The guru of Devas were Brahaspati. Yes, the guru of Devas were Brahaspati. The guru of Rakshasas were, I'm forgetting. So that person, the guru of Rakshasas, calls on the wife and says that, we will make your child, the new Mahishasur, and then he will go and, kill the Devas, because basically there's always a conflict between these two. There's a conflict between Rakshasas and Devas. So he says that when your child will be born, he has the blood of Mahishasur, he's very strong, he'll be very mighty, and he'll go and kill the Indra. I'll make him that way. He'll go and kill the Indra, and we will conquer the three worlds. So now what happens is the gods, uh, the king of Devas, that is Indra. Indra is so upset at this, and what he does is he plans to kill the baby in the womb itself. Okay, now Indra here has already predicted, okay, that this, person um, would uh, do, he has already, he has, he's so defensive in his fear and everything, that he has already predicted, he's not giving, the child is not even born yet, yaar. You get it. But he's so much in his ego, so much in his fear, that he goes and, he loses all his courage. Fear makes you weak in the legs, right? So he loses his courage, and, he loses his thinking ability, and he goes and he says that I will, you know kill the child in the womb itself, because he will do this and this and that. He hasn't done it yet, even, okay, he hasn't been to the point. So it's very easy, for us to predict. But it's only Shiva, he goes and he protects that unborn child, and he says that we are not, maybe that child will, like, 90% he will do what his mother and what his guru wants him to do. He is born in a society like that. His destiny has come, he has taken birth into a womb or into a kingdom like that. Then it's 90% is predictable, but that 10% possibility is there, and who are we to kill that 10% possibility? you know that's when Shiva comes and protects the child. And Shiva is hated by both. The Devas also don't like him, the Rakshasas also don't like him, because they are like, Devas are like, he always takes, Rakshasas are so bad, demons are so bad, he still takes the side of them. And demons and the Rakshasas are also, not, does not like him, because sometimes he takes the side of, devas, or he favors devas at times. So he's not liked by anyone, but he doesn't care. He does what he, what is his spiritual body. He's a very high level, of course. He's the highest level. I mean, I'm just so amazed by these stories, the way Shiva takes decision, and this way story unfolds, and, gradually how things happen. It's so beautiful and perfect. It explains life at the fullest. I'm such a watcher. I would keep watching movies, stories, reading stories, and the very few stories, that I find that, oh, they're so whole in themselves. They represent life completely as it is. Basically, stories, movies, what are they? They are a copy of, you know uh, they are a copy of, life, right? And some copy it badly. Okay, there are bad movies, I feel. Bad, and not in the sense of they've worked on the box office or not, because, in box office, movies that have item numbers are going to work. Right? So it's not like they've worked at the box office or not. The very good movies have not worked at the box office, but they copy life. They simulation, I think stories, movies, they're all simulation of life. So I think Hindu mythology, all these stories that I'm watching right now, I've never read any, you know, these stories represent the life to the fullest, is how I feel. So I'll do a different video altogether, you know, why I love Hindu mythology. Literally, I'll do that video. And I have thoughts about Bhagavad Gita as well. So when I first read Bhagavad Gita, I found it completely. I found a few things that were just, couldn't understand. A few things that were like, I felt like, why is it written? Even in the book, like, how can God write, or how can God say all these things? So I really had questions when I first read Bhagavad Gita. I read 4 or 5 times. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not able to understand. But I read 4 or 5 times and I just made a view of Bhagavad Gita. And then, of course, my guru appeared, and, he taught me what really it was. So yeah, we can make a complete different video, for why I love Hindu mythology. So now let's come back to the topic. So, it's easy, to predict, and yes, people have become predictable nowadays. They do not stop to think. Okay, they do not taking conscious decisions. They are really in some, unconscious flow. They are in flow, but that flow is really unconsciousness. So nowadays, people are saying, we should go with the flow, go with the flow. But your flow is unconscious. Your flow is not conscious, dear. You really need to go check with your, with your flow. So yeah, okay. So yeah, what really happened, I was talking about my awakening that happened for me, a deep awakening that happened for me. So I am not so yeah, I was just trying to explain how I do not predict people. I know it can be really hurtful, sometimes it can be shocking, but I do allow possibilities, right? So there came a point in my life where, maybe I was just so much in trauma that I just refused to see bad in people. Like, sometimes this can also be your trauma, that you just refuse to see bad in people. Okay, it's good that you give them possibility. It's good that you don't judge them or make opinions about them very soon. It's somewhere I'm also psychic, and I'm a deep one, and I look at souls rather than bodies and minds. Even I'm look at beyond minds. I can, I know how I can feel their origins and everything. And after walking my spiritual journey, I have just increased in my powers, to look at people. I think at the end of the day, the goal is just to become the third eye. The goal is to become the third eye, not have it, but become it. Become a seer. Just see and experience. And that's all sometimes, you can do. The very less there are very less opportunities to really come into action if you really see. Life is that simple at times. Okay. So even if you come in action, you're still a seer. We'll talk about that maybe in some other video. Yeah, so yeah, I just started to see good in people, to an extent that was really harmful. And I know that that was some kind of a trauma, I feel, in some ways, because so yeah, I think because I was just too scared of, because the when you see the bad in people, especially who are very close to you, it just hurts you, right? And I was just so scared of, you know picking up those hatred and bitterness. Of course it's going to make you bitter, right? And I was just so scared of that. It would just make me bitter, it would just make me corrupt. I don't know about you, but I don't like to stay in bitterness or in hatred, because it feels heavy. It's not your nature. At the end of the day, you would not want to stay in it. Okay, you may think staying in it is going to do something bad to other one, and maybe it will. Okay, but what about you? It's not your nature. Why would you know uh, why would you cook that bitterness or that hatred inside of you? Because it's not your nature, dear. It just feels so heavy. And since I was a child, I was very clear. Since I was a child, I was very clear. I don't want to become like this khadoos adult. I don't want to become this frustrated adult, this angry adult, or I don't want to become an adult which is so sad and has lost joy. I don't know. I was just so very clear while I was a child, very early on. I have done a post also on Instagram. You can just look at. I have my Instagram channel with the same name, the same crackhead. I am also available for one-on-one sessions, for one-on-one healing sessions. I even do that. So if you wanna, if you resonate with my energy, if you wanna come up from healing sessions, you can come. And don't expect Reiki or something in astrology or something. No, I have very different ways of dealing with people. I have very different ways of dealing with my clients. So you really don't expect the old things. No, I work in the now. I am not going to tell your future. I am not a tarot reader, and I'm not that. Please, I will work with you with the now. I will work with you with the roots. Okay, so it's not, I can do Reiki if it's required, and I don't have any certificates. I don't, because I had certificates for the job I was doing for 5 years, and trust me, I badly failed at it. So I know there is no point of having certificates, because you can have certificates. It's just okay. It's just a paper at the end of the day. But I was just so bad at my job that I was doing. Now I've switched to this because I know this is what I am. So if you feel connected, if you feel resonated, so you can mail me. I'll give in the information in the comment section or in the description. You can just see it, right? Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it's such a trauma, to see those things, to see bad things in people close to you. And it's not very uncommon. I know it might be very common with you as well. Somewhere we all don't want to see the bad in people we love or who love us. And maybe it's unconscious, they are unconscious of what they are doing. But as somebody who's more awakened, I am more awakened, and I'm saying this not out of ego, I am more awake. No, I'm saying this because of some clarity that I've really achieved, that I am more awakened to the people around me. And yeah, and you sense more, you know more, and they might be doing what they are doing unconsciously. And at the end of the day, yes, they have their own ego, and they have their own wounds, and they have their own complexes, insecurities, fears, everything. And I know they are working from those parts of themselves, they're working from their wounded parts of themselves. That's why they're very unconscious, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. But I just simply didn't want to see that. I just simply didn't want to see those truths, that it became all about me, that what I will do, what I will do. I even if it's I don't know if you remember, there was this stupid movie as well, back in the day. There was this Sunil Shetty, Shilpa Shetty, and Akshay Kumar. And you remember that, I think Dhadkan Dil, what the movie was? Dhadkan, yeah. Dhadkan was the name of the movie, yaar. It's a very old movie. I was a child. I don't know, maybe it was released even before my birth, but yeah, maybe I saw it while I was a child. Maybe I was a little grown up, of course, because as a child, I don't think so I would. Yeah, maybe a little, whatever. So it was a 90s movie, yeah. Great. So yeah, there was this, Akshay Kumar, and he had a terrible family. Okay, he was staying with his family, and it's shown that, his is a, his mother, her mother is basically not her biological mother. I guess so, yeah, it was not her biological mother. And not her biological mother had two kids. Okay. And so those two kids hated Akshay Kumar, because he was so rich, he was so successful in his career and everything. He was such a nice, great guy, and really gentleman. And so the father was dead, the biological father was dead. Now this not so biological mother, the father must have married to a second, she must be a second wife of the husband, and she was not the biological mother of Akshay Kumar. So Akshay Kumar is the lead role here. So what happens at the end of the day is that these three people, they completely hate on Akshay Kumar, and Akshay Kumar keeps doing good to them, because he keeps doing, he's like, my love will change them, my love will. And I feel that somewhere this kind of distorted feminine is really there on our planet. कई बार ना जो लोग बुरा करते हैं ना, वो इतने गलत नहीं होते, पर वो लोग ना जो बुरा करने वाले लोगों को माफ़ पे माफ़ करते रहते हैं, या फिर कई बार उनका सहारा, उनका सपोर्ट बनते हैं, आई थिंक वो ज़्यादा कई बार पाप कर जाते हैं, rather than really wrong people doing wrong things. What I really meant to say is that more than wrong people doing the wrong things, do you know what's more wrong than wrong people doing the wrong things? Right people sometimes always forgiving them, right people sometimes always supporting them in some ways, you know. Or for example, Anupama, I think it's a best show. She represents such a distorted feminine on a planet. Indian, Mahila. She represents completely distorted feminine, in a households. She is, yeah, she might, she always forgives her child, again and again. They again betray him, and again forgives the child. So, yeah, these characters who represent distorted feminine, I also, uh, you know did this, that I just, you know big I just started to not listen to my intuition at some point of time in my life, because I was like, no, um, what they are doing, they're doing it unconsciously. What they are doing is they are doing it from their ego space. And what they are doing is, I know they have their own fears, and but how much to understand, and why to understand this much? Doing this, I am also closing their possibility, to never change somewhere. I am actually limiting their possibility, and I am giving them freedom to do what they want to do, you know, and I will just never look at you because it's so hurtful to look at you. And sometimes we can just unconsciously do that because we're just so afraid of, seeing the truth, you know, because it's really going to hurt us. So sometimes we can really do that, especially in our close relationships or in our very close friendships. We can completely do that. So I was that one kind of a person. And when this awakening happened for me, you know, since these 2 years, I've been experiencing this, and it was such a shaken up for me, And I really went into a cave and I sat with myself and I was like, why didn't I do that? Why did I keep doing bad to myself? That is also wrong. What I've really, when I've gone through an ego death, what I've learned is, ego death is just not about, you know, that you thinking you are more important than somebody else. Is just not that ego सिर्फ वही नहीं होता है, that it's ego is just not, only that thing that you are more important than some. No, it's also sometimes you giving more important to somebody else more than you. Okay, so ego is both ways. Okay, you just have to always, let love be your answer. Okay, like let universe come in, okay, and decide who to do and what to do and for how much, and just come into a space of you becoming the audience rather than you being the character. So become the audience, once and for a while, and just ask universe, you know who do you think should get the forgiveness and who do you think should not get the forgiveness. Who do you think has right intentions, or who do you think does not have right intentions, or who do you think can change. Just become the audience for a while and look at your character, look at the characters of others, and becomes easy to that's what ego death is. You become the seer, you become the audience rather than playing the character. So that's really what an ego death feels like. So yeah, that was my major awakening, and it really hurts to see that. But it took me time, and I'm still processing that, and I'm still working on that. But yeah, I just really wanted to come here and share one of my deep awakenings phase with you all, because I really feel that the earth really right now is going through ascension and will be going through an ascension. Everyone will be going through that evolution phases. So somebody might need this video, and I just hope it reaches to the person who needs it at whatever year. Maybe even if I die, whoever, even after me, if this video reaches somebody who needs it, so why not? I really feel the real creations are those that stay even after you die. They're the most immortal creations. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I do what I do. It's saying cricket is one of the most pious work for me. It's one of the most sacred work of mine, sacred creation of mine. I always wanted to create something. I remember I used to write on papers that I'm going to create something that touches the heart, of people, because I think that's one of the most meaningful things I can do. I've I've never felt like I've been doing something meaningful all of my life, but yeah. And I think that's a usual, very common wish of any empath. I'm such an empath that, empaths do carry that wish inside them, inside their hearts. So yeah, I just so much wanted to share this, that sometimes you avoid seeing the bad in people. And of course, there are all kinds of people. Sometimes you see so much bad in people, in fear. And sometimes you just see so much good in people, you know. Sometimes you just don't see what exactly how it is, because your own biases come in, your own fear of hurt comes in, your own traumas come in, past traumas come in. So all of these things happen. So yeah, this awakening really shaken me. And yeah, I hope you like the video. If you've watched till here, then I think you can drop a like, or you can even drop a comment if you have something to say. But definitely you can drop a like, I guess. Let it reach other people as well, right? Thank you for watching the video. I kept the video and I realized, no, I just also wanted to add something. What after seeing this truth? What after, getting acknowledged with this truth? What after that? you know Understanding that you still cannot control it, and you should not control it. Okay, when we see truth, the very first instinct that we might have is to control it, or is to judge it in some form or manner, or used to control it in a ways that you will completely go what do we say, either you will completely go silent with that person, okay, or you're going to completely be away from that person, or you is also kind of a control. Okay, so whatever action you're going to take, whatever, rather than taking action, rather than controlling it, let it be a response. Let your body decide. Sometimes your body gives you signals, for with whom to interact and not to, who doesn't have good intentions with you. And sometimes, even if somebody has bad intentions with you, your intuition still knows that, but it allows you to still interact with them. Why? Because of certain reasons. Okay, it could be because of certain reasons. There's no such fixed thing, but yeah, what I want to say is, what the first thing that you see the truth is that response, the first instinct might be to control it. So you might feel a hatred, bitterness, you might go completely silent on that person, it's just or there is not only, you don't always have to act according to the book or any rule book. There is no rule book. Just sit with yourself. Maybe you can even talk with that person, if you know yeah, and you can maybe change the things, or if you can see if they are at a level of maturity where you can really make them aware of of their own behaviors, right? So you can do that. You can make a conscious response at every levels. Okay, yeah, and I might be sounding very silly, to talking about these details because people don't usually like, to really even pay attention to all these things. But all these things really matter to me since a long time, and they will always matter to me. Small details really matter to me. That's my spiritual path. What's going on inside me, how I feel about things, how things are. It's very important to me. So these small things do matter to me, these details do matter to me, and it might look very foolish or silly, to to think that who pays so much attention to all these things, but life is in details, God is in details, right? You can only find God is in details. You cannot just find him going to any random temple in your locality, or even going to Himalayas, or some place like that. You can really find God in the details. Okay, make yourself a temple so that God comes to meet you rather than you going and meeting him. Why not? So yeah, that's my path of spirituality, that I really sit and with myself, and from close relationships to even far off relationships, I make sure that I really care about my details. I really care about my conscious response. I've always been that person, and I've felt that people have looked at me for being so, they've thought I'm being too over caring. They've thought I'm being too over, overthinking. No, it's not overthinking. It's a right, it's a choice to make a conscious response, to things in life around us. And that's how we experience life, and that's how we evolve through life, right? So yeah, I mean, when you see truth, it's not about that you have to handle it in only a certain way, okay, by going silent on that person, or maybe harboring bitterness or hatred in yourself. No, it's more than that. You can really look at your circumstances, you can really talk into that person if that's possible, and maybe you can just very silently move away also. And yeah, better your situation, or you feel that somebody can guide you, around you. You can ask, you can talk to that person or something like that. Yeah, what I really wanted to add here in this video is that when you start to see things, when truth comes to you, third eye is a symbol, that you've started to see the truth without any biases, without without the filters of your own traumas, without the filters of your own beliefs, right? That is third eye. That is what third eye shows you the truth. So when the truth starts to come in, don't try to control it in any certain way. Don't go by the rule book. Don't go by what others do. Sit with yourself, try to make a conscious response, be very conscious with your details. Make yourself a temple. Is what I feel. Yeah, so that's exactly what I wanted to add up here in this video. Without this, I think the video would be incomplete. It's so important. I have actually narrated a story also in, I think, 2 of my videos, when Bhasmasur came to Mahadev. Bhasmasur was a demon, so he came to Mahadev, he came to Shiva, to he took the boon from the Shiva himself. Okay, so people usually ask, why would Shiva give gifts, spiritual gifts, to all these rakshasas, demons, and they sometimes attack back to Shiva only. So Bhasmasura got a spiritual gift from Shiva only, okay, and then he used it back on Shiva only, right? He only attacked back to Shiva. So people usually ask, why would he do that? Why would he look at the truth, he has his third eye open. He knows what this Rakshasa is. It's so clear for people around him also. It's very predictable that what these demons are going to do. They're going to use these spiritual powers to attack the common people, or they're going to attack the devas. They're going to attack the Shiva himself. So why would Shiva do it? Why would he give these powers to them? And he's called Bholenath, an innocent one by everyone. Yes, he is the innocent one. Yes, he sees the truth. He already knows what he will do. Rather, he knows more than you. He's like the Doctor Strange of Avengers. He really sits with his eyes closed. Hindu mythology mein Shiva is represented like this. He sits with his eyes closed and he has all the timelines. Okay, he's a god of time. Okay, so he looks at he sits with eyes closed in meditation and look at all the timelines, and he's like how the niyati will flow, how the timelines will merge or converge, or or go parallel or whatever. So he sits with eyes closed and he looks at all the timelines, like how Doctor Strange looked at all the timelines in the Endgame Avengers, just like that. So he will look at all the timelines. He knows, he has his third eye open more than you. Okay, you might be thinking with your brain, like you might be just predicting like how a person would act, okay, according to your own level of consciousness. But he is all knower. Okay, he has the third eye open. He knows Bhasmasura what he's going to do, but he knows more than what Bhasmasura will do. He's not fearful. He has gone beyond his fear. He has burned the fears inside him. So he is compassionate enough to allow Bhasmasura to have or to do what he wants to do. So he allows Bhasmasura, to go on his destiny, to learn his lessons. He knows Bhasmasura would end up, he knows the laws of universe. He has only created it. Come on, he has only created the Maya. He's only created the Matrix. He knows how it works. So he knows that bad deeds, bad intentions are going to end up in bad circumstances or bad outcomes, though they might look good in the starting or even in the end sometimes. But I read it somewhere, when everything is going well, maybe sometimes demon is doing that to you, so that you just forget about God. Sometimes we forget about God in the good times. So I just read it somewhere or wanted to add it. Yeah, right, whatever. So yeah, he has his third eye open. You see with your own biases, beliefs, you see with your own filters, okay, of your own ego, of your own wounds, of your own traumas. But he sees it all, okay, and he's conquered his fears, okay. So he knows, he goes beyond the fears. He knows that how things will play out or what will happen. He knows that he has to just give it up and just be in the present moment, and the life will take care. So he gives the boon to Bhasmasura, that you go take this boon, and then Bhasmasura wants to try it on Mahadev only, and then of course destiny takes its own course, and finally Bhasmasura puts his hand on his own head. You remember the story of Mohini dancing with Bhasmasura, and then he puts his hand on his own head. So yeah, Mahadev went to Vishnuji to take help, and Vishnuji shifts him into Mohini, and Mohini started to dance with, started to what do we say, started to really entice Bhasmasura into dancing with her, and she kept, she made sure that he kept his own hand on his own head. So yeah, it was a great ending, and then Mahadev was like, now you see people, now you see, he's like that to everyone. Bad deeds end up in bad things. So he is very, he goes beyond, he goes beyond himself. Okay, his consciousness he is just not limited to himself. He's just not think about his own fears or his own protection. He just looks at a bigger picture. That's what a third eye represents. Okay, so yeah, that's just all I wanted to say. When you really start to seeing the truth, the first thing that happens with you is to not control it. Okay, just let it be. Okay, let life decide, let life takes a destiny. You will know when you have to act, you will know when you have to move. Okay, trust, give yourself into the lap of time, give yourself into the lap of now. So yeah, I just so much wanted to add this up with this video. Now the video is complete, and you've watched till here and you haven't liked the video yet, you can like it again. You can comment down below, and you may also share it with any of your friend. Right? Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.